Let's talk about Minnesota. Minnesota Vikings 13-4 last year. They were amazing. They barely won 13 games a bunch of times. They pulled it out by the skin of their teeth a couple times against the Giants and the Colts specifically. Vegas has them at 8.5 because they don't believe they can repeat those close victories. That being said, Kirk Cousins going 107th overall, QB 13, like we said earlier, around that Goff range. He was QB 6 finished last year. He had over 4,500 yards and 29 touchdowns. The fact that Justin Jefferson finished the season with 8 touchdowns as the wide receiver 1, and Kirk Cousins only threw 29 touchdowns. No more Dalvin Cook. I think Kirk finishes better than he did last year. I think he goes for 4,500 yards again, but I think he throws for like 32, 33 touchdowns. And I think Jefferson is the beneficiary of that too, because that was a low number for Jefferson. Cook was a monster through the air and a monster on the ground. And I don't think Madison's going to be able to repeat that. So I like Cousins. Cousins is one of those last guys in the group that I'm willing to take a shot on because of pure volume from this team. They were one of the top. They were number 2 in passing yards last year, and they were number 3 in attempts last year. Only the Chargers and Buccaneers threw more than them. And the beauty of this team was they had massive amount of first downs. They had more first downs than those other 2 teams there. First down percentage was higher through the air. They had 50, 20-plus yard plays, 10, 40-plus yard plays through the air. He only threw 15 picks. I just love Kirk Cousins. He's just steady Eddie, and he's white bread. He's toast. I mean, he's nothing special. But you put a little Justin Jefferson jam on there, and you got yourself a quarterback that finishes in the top 10 year after year.
Or you get some Jordan Addison Nutella. You get some KJ Osborne peanut butter. You get some you get some TJ Hawkinson banana. You got yourself a sandwich. You got yourself a sandwich here.
The weapons are unbelievable. He may have four of the best weapons across the board.
Yeah, I mean the pass catchers are great here, and you're right. Like they get rid of Dalvin Cook and Madison, and this running back core is not Dalvin Cook, and this was such a shame because like I really think they should have this is a running back you pay and get Dalvin. You pay this guy, and if I were the Vikings, tuck your tail between your legs and go get him again. I'd love him to go to the Jets, but I mean, it's such a stable because a lot of things that they're able to do off the pass were because of what Dalvin's able to do as a running back. And those first downs he's able to get on screen passes. He was a great receiver out of the backfield as well. That being said, they have more weapons around him as pass catchers. I think that having KJ Osborne as the number 3, Jordan Addison as the number 2, and Justin Jefferson, obviously the best receiver in football. I think that really is going to help out Kirk Cousins for sure. But this offense is going to be much different without Dalvin. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen this offense without Dalvin. And I don't think Alexander Madison's the answer, even though people want to say, look at the times that he replaced, Dalvin Cook for a game here, a game there. And look at the numbers that he had fantasy wise. Like he was super inefficient as a runner. And he got in the end zone because again, this passing offense is good. It's really, really good. But he's inefficient as a runner. And how does that translate into moving the sticks for this offense? And so is it all going to be on Kirk Cousins? Like they better hope they don't have a lot of primetime games either. Maybe that's why they have him at 8 wins is because they might have 4 or 5 primetime games.
I haven't looked at it. I can look that up. But here's the thing. I like Kirk Cousins. We'll move on from Cousins. We'll move on from Cousins. I think Cousins is a good quarterback. Again, if you don't get these top guys, you could get him at value and a guy who finished QB 6 last year that I think is going to try and mirror his output, if not, have more touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about this man. He's wide receiver 1, number 1 overall. He's number 1 in our hearts. I mean, the guy had 14.1 fantasy points per game in standard, 21.6 in PPR. He has had an increase and this is the crazy stat for him. He's had an increase from his rookie year to last year of 20 receptions each season, and almost exactly 20 receptions, by the way, but almost exactly 200 yards as well. So it just goes to show that this man is going to have an opportunity to have 20 more receptions and 200 more yards and get himself to that 2,000 yard mark that only a few guys have a chance to reach in this league. Now, in terms of the other two wide receivers out there, I think KJ Osborne has the first dibs at the wide receiver 2 position, and I think he's earned it. He had some fantastic games last year. He had ended up with 5 touchdowns, 650 yards. He had a couple, I think he had a 2 touchdown game as well last year. Ended up wide receiver 44 for a guy who only had 650 yards, which is pretty darn good. And Jordan Addison, 23rd overall pick. They're not going to waste him by sitting him around. He'll work himself into that offense. And like we said before, the fact that there's no Cook and you've got Madison's 25 years old, but at the end of the day, Madison still, can he match the 264 carries that Dalvin Cook had last year in 17 games? Can he match the 312, from 2 years prior, or 249? I think with the offense they had last year, you're going to see a heavy pass volume offense, and they're probably going to sieve maybe 30 carries and be 30 more passes. And I don't think Madison's, going to be as big in the passing game. I think Addison's going to be on the field to replace, and he'll be there for pass blocking. So I think that's something you got to watch. And you can't forget about TJ Hawkinson. So I like KJ Osborne. He's going wide receiver 63. He's going as the wide receiver 3 for this team because everybody wants the shiny new object. And you're going to spend 86 overall pick on Jordan Addison, wide receiver 37. You can get KJ Osborne for free in your most of your leagues right now. So I like him as an opportunity to get him late because the value is going to be there. He's going to get his. He's going to be a flex play for you in a bench stash. And if he ends up being a true wide receiver 2 there, you're the beneficiary of making a great choice late in your draft.
Well, so I'll say a couple things on that is we don't need to talk about Justin Jefferson, but Jordan Addison, I think, is going to be the number 2 there. And he's going to get that really early in the season. He's a more talented KJ Osborne. What I'll say about KJ Osborne, though, is he might be one of the better bench stashes that you can draft. So if you have an extra bench spot that you're just trying to fill up your bench, draft KJ Osborne. Because if anything happened to Justin Jefferson or Addison or TJ Hawkinson, they're going to have to throw the ball. And because there's no Dalvin Cook there. So they're going to have to throw the ball. And he's going to be a recipient of that. He's talented enough. There's all these pass catchers are talented. But I would probably still take Addison over him, and I would take Addison at his grade. I think he's going to – why would you not want a number 2? Think of what Adam Thielen was doing across from Justin Jefferson, not last year, but the year before.
The year before that, yeah.
Yeah. So
the only thing I like about Osborne is as a better red zone threat than Addison. I think Addison's a better route runner. He's a crisper route runner, but KJ Osborne's got the size. I think Hawkinson and Osborne are going to. The problem. Really, the biggest thing is Justin Jefferson is got the monopoly on this offense in terms of receptions, and he was number 1 in red zone targets last year. It's going to continue that way. It's just a matter of you don't want to try and say, "Oh, I'm going to try and hit this," KJ Osborne or Addison and make the right pick there. I don't think you could go wrong at getting him at their values. And same thing with TJ Hawkinson, who's going tight end 3 and 44th overall. And he himself, he was tight end 4 last year at a finish, 2nd in targets for tight ends, 2nd in receptions for tight ends, and 2nd in yardage for tight ends last year. He had 6 top 10 tight end finishes, and all of those were career highs for him going to Minnesota. So love it for him. Obviously, he's the beneficiary of having Justin Jefferson over top of you. He's the one who almost took on that Adam Thielen role last year a little bit more when Adam Thielen was out. But I do agree with you. I think Hawkinson is going to still get his in terms of targets and receptions and yardage, and it's probably going to go up from last year because he's going to be a Viking for the full season. I like Hawkinson, but I think Hawkinson has a ceiling due to the fact that he does have Justin Jefferson in the offense with him compared to some of the other tight ends that are around him, where they're more or less the number one or the definite number two target on the offense. But I love Hockenson. I've always liked him.
Yeah. We kind of talked about like a week or two ago where none of the Brock Purdy news came out that Brock Purdy is going to be back like fully healthy and he's going to be back week 1. Kittle jumped him in my rankings, so Kittle's now my number 3. Hockenson drops to my number 4. But I've talked about this is that this is my cutoff. After this, it's a crapshoot. So after Hockenson,
that's where we differ.
What? That is a crapshoot.
That's a crapshoot. I mean, to me, I don't know how you could say that when, and we haven't talked about the NFC East yet, but when Darren Waller is going to be the pseudo number 1 pass catcher in New York Giants, how do you not say that he's got the highest pathway? No, we do know that. There's no way around it. They've already seen it in training camp. They had to take him off the field because Daniel Jones was passing everything to him. But I digress. That being said, I agree with you, TJ Hockenson. He's in my top 5. The guy's a fantastic receiving tight end. He has been his entire career. He was drafted in the first round for a reason. So, Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, one other guy.
Go ahead.
There's one other guy I want to kind of mention here is, especially in dynasty leagues, if you're in a sleeper league or if you're in a keeper league with late round keepers, draft Dwayne McBride.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have an impact on this team. I think that Madison is not going to be able to sustain this kind of workload for the entire season. And I think Dwayne McBride is a rookie that they brought in that is going to be like, again, this is a pass heavy offense. They're not facing stacked boxes, and I think he's going to have a chance to shine in this offense. So keep an eye on him. If you have with him and KJ Osborne, if you have some open slots at the end of the draft, go and stash these guys on your bench.